Hey everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Small Business Growth Formula, How to Create Your One-Page Growth Plan. So before we dive in, just some quick housekeeping. So this presentation does come with a doc, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat right now. This is also linked up in the slides, so when you get the slide deck, you can just grab that here. So let's hop over to that real quick. So this is the document that comes with today's presentation. This is the master file though, so you can't actually edit this. So what you'll do is when you open this up, go up to File on the left and click Make a Copy. And then just rename it whatever you'd like to, and then save it in your drive. We will be doing Q&A today, so there's a Q&A section at the very end of the webinar. If you have questions, just go ahead and put those in the chat now, and I'm just going to kind of run through those in order once we get to that section. And just to make sure you can access the chat, I'm curious to know how many Main Street ROI trainings you've attended. You can just put your answer in the chat. Cool, and yes, we are recording. Hey, Harold, awesome. Yeah, so we're recording. So what's going to happen is tomorrow morning, you're going to get an email with a link to this webinar training, the video, and a link to the slides as well. All right, so what we're going to cover today, 2 key marketing concepts. We're going to create your 2025 marketing vision, lay your marketing foundation, how and where to invest in traffic, how we can help, and then we'll move into the live Q&A. So who am I and why listen to me? My name is Riley McLaughlin, and I've had a couple of roles here at Main Street ROI. For a while, I was an ad analyst, and at one point managing over $50,000 a month in ad spend for our lead gen and e-commerce accounts. And now I'm the content manager, so I oversee our educational content business unit, our YouTube videos, our newsletter, that kind of thing. All right, 2 key marketing concepts. So first off, we have the marketing investor mindset, and then we have the 4 pillars framework. So this first concept has 3 sub-ideas, so I'm going to move into those now, with the first one being that marketing should be viewed as an investment as opposed to a cost. So if you can invest $1 and get 2 back, or 5 back, then surely that's an investment as opposed to something that you're kind of needlessly spending money on. And the problem with viewing marketing as a cost is that you're likely to underinvest and seek out the cheapest options. For example, outsourcing your SEO work to a cheap overseas firm. This can have kind of a rebound effect in Google Ads, for example, where if you're not spending enough money, then these algorithms in ad platforms, they're designed to use data. So if you're not spending enough money, algorithm doesn't have enough data to do what it's actually designed to do, which is get you leads and sales. And so, if you're under investing, for example, in an ad platform, then that might just kind of be needlessly wasting money as opposed to spending a little bit more and actually getting a return for that. In terms of an analogy, it would be similar to kind of buying stocks based on the lowest price, which as we know is not necessarily a good investment. All right, the second concept being to diversify your portfolio. So we know putting all your eggs in one basket can be incredibly risky. For example, being overly reliant on Google rankings. So we actually had a business come to us a while back that was in the middle of a kind of a botched website redesign. And they were 100% reliant on their organic SEO traffic. And so because there was this issue with the redesign where redirects weren't put in place, all of their traffic effectively stopped, and unfortunately the business went under. Now, had they had a more diverse portfolio, that probably would not have happened. So, but because kind of all their eggs were in one basket, unfortunately, they lost the business. And again, in terms of an analogy, similar to putting all of your money into a single stock, which would be, incredibly risky. All right, and then the third concept being to reallocate based on results. So, when we're investing in these things, we want to make sure that we're reviewing performance, and if something's working, we want to put more into it, and obviously if it's not working, we want to take money out of it. So in terms of reallocation, this can happen between channels. So for example, if you're running Google ads and Facebook ads, but then in reviewing your performance for both, you find that Facebook ads is not performing, then you can move that budget from Facebook ads into Google ads. Or within channels. So in the case of just running Google ads, if you're you have multiple campaigns running and kind of all things being treated equal, they've got equal budgets, you're seeing which ones are performing, which ones aren't, then obviously you'd want to move budget away from the campaigns that are not performing and into those campaigns that are. So it's really important to reallocate. Okay, and then the second key concept is going to be the 4 pillars framework. So these are the 4 pillars. We've got traffic, conversion, tracking, and customer value. All right, and so pillar number 1, traffic. Obviously, you need traffic to generate leads and sales, but it's often not the biggest leverage point to driving more sales. So, if you're just starting out, you want to lay the foundation with making sure that your website is set up to actually convert that traffic, and that you have tracking set up so you can see how people are engaging with your site. But traffic is really important. Pillar number 2, conversion. So this is the real goal. We want to get leads and sales. So, it's really important when someone visits your site, they actually know where to go, where we're trying to direct them, as opposed to a situation where they visit your site. Maybe a primary conversion goal for you is to call your business, but your phone number is only on the contact page and people have to scroll down to see it. So in that case, we're putting friction, we're putting roadblocks in the way of our potential customer and actually contacting our business and converting on our site. So really important to make sure that your website or landing page is set up to convert traffic. If you're already generating traffic, improving conversions can often be a bigger leverage point. So if you just make a few edits on your site that result in doubling your conversion rate, then you can effectively double your sales by doing that without any additional traffic. So this is it's a pretty powerful and often not considered enough, I think. All right, pillar number 3, tracking. So you can't, and proper tracking is going to show you what's working and what needs to be improved so you can reallocate your budget and maximize return on investment. Tracking is especially crucial for things like ad campaigns where you're spending money to invest in traffic. If you're not tracking those results, if and especially if these ad platforms, these algorithms don't know what a conversion looks like, then they're not going to be able to optimize for more conversions because they don't have any existing conversion data. So tracking is kind of an essential before running ads, especially. And then pillar number 4, customer value. So higher customer value means you can invest more to acquire a new customer, and you can pursue a more aggressive growth goal and marketing budget. So having a higher average order value is going to open up more doors for you. So a few ways you could do that. You could just try increasing fees. So for example, by 10%, if that didn't cause people not to purchase. You could also offer some upsells to your products or services. So for example, my wife and I, we just adopted 2 kittens recently. And we got this thing called the litter robot. It's like an automatic litter, self-cleaning litter box. And on their site, when you're making purchases, there's like 20 different upsells they're trying to get you to do. Get the plastic shield that snaps on, or a little ramp that goes on the front of it. And so by offering these, kind of add-ons to the product that they know I'm purchasing, they're able to increase their average order value um, quite considerably, I think. And then lastly, cross-sell products or services. So if I went to, let's say I went to the dentist and I'm like, okay, I want to get a teeth cleaning, and they say, oh well, I see you're getting a teeth cleaning. We're also offering discounted teeth whitening services. So if you want to tack that on, we can offer it at a discount. And if you did decide to get your teeth whitened later, they should really be cleaned first anyway. So in this case, you're kind of saving money. May as well get your teeth whitened since you're already getting them cleaned. So in this case, they would be offering like cross-selling me to an additional kind of related service and increasing customer value as a result. And typically, businesses with the highest customer value are going to dominate the market. In terms of what that looks like from an advertising perspective, in the case of Google Ads search campaigns, which is one of the most common places that a small business is going to start with in terms of advertising, just because it's going to do the best job of getting in front of the most relevant traffic, lowest in the funnel. So people who are actively looking for what your business has to offer. And unfortunately, costs per click can get pretty expensive in Google Ads. And if you've got two businesses, one has a much higher customer value than the other, then in terms of Google Ads, if it's $5 a click and you have a 2% conversion rate on your site, then it's going to take 50 clicks for you to get a new customer, $250. So if your customer value isn't at least $250, then you're effectively paying more to acquire that sale than the sale is worth, as opposed to a business that has let's say a $500 average order value. They're fine to spend $250 to acquire a sale because they know that sale's worth $500. But if the other business, that sale's only worth $200, then they can't make Google Ads work, which means they're completely missing out on the visibility that Google Ads would provide them with. So customer value is another really powerful element. So question for you: what is your typical customer worth, and how much can you afford to acquire a new customer? All right, so this is how we're going to kind of put them all together now. So revenue equals traffic times conversion times value. And of course, we need tracking to make sure that we can actually measure what's happening. So for example, if we have 100 website visitors and we have a 1% conversion rate on the site and a $500 customer value, then that equals $500 in revenue. Now, oftentimes I think business owners think, well, if they want to double traffic, if they want to double revenue, they have to double their traffic. And as we can see here, mathematically, it's not actually the case. If we simply increase each one of these by 25%, we can basically achieve the same result. So if instead of 100 visitors, we have 125, we make a few edits on the site that improves conversion rate, from 1% to 1.25%. And maybe we increase our fees a little, or we add a couple upsells in there, and we're able to get our customer value up to 625, then in that case, we're effectively doubling our revenue without doubling our traffic. All right, 3-step growth planning process. So the 3-step growth planning process: first, we're going to set your vision. Second, we're going to lay the foundation. And then third, invest in traffic. All right, so set your marketing vision. So what does your growth goal look like for 2025. So imagine it's the end of the year next year, December 2025. What growth needs to happen for you to feel like this was a good year? And to help us kind of figure this out, we're going to turn to our one-page growth plan. So there's three different types of growth that we have. Moderate growth is going to be between 10 and 20%, growing our business by between 10 and 20% by revenue. Aggressive growth between 20 and 40%, and then hyper growth, growing our revenue by more than 40% or more next year. And so, what is the marketing budget in order to achieve that growth? Well, we're going to use a percentage of current revenue. So we'll match the growth rate with the investment. So for moderate growth, that's going to be investing 4% of revenue to achieve a between 10 and 20% growth. Aggressive growth means investing about 8% of revenue. And then hyper growth, growing our business by 40% or more, would require at least investing 12% or more of current revenue. So I'm going to turn to our one-page growth plan. We'll kind of look at this. So this is the section we're talking about here. Just to keep the numbers kind of simple, annual revenue of $1 million. So that's our current annual revenue. For our sales growth goal for next year, we've decided to select a goal in the aggressive range. So 25%, we want to grow our revenue by 25% in 2025. Next year's revenue growth goal is going to be, of course, we've got $1 million, 25% increase is going to be $1.25 million. And since we're in the aggressive range of 20 to 40%, that's going to mean investing about 8% of our current revenue. So 8% of $1 million, that's $80,000 across the entire year. And then if we divide that by 12, that's going to help us arrive at our monthly marketing budget. So this is what we would need to spend per month, $6,666 per month in order to achieve this aggressive growth goal of 25%. Okay, step 2, lay your marketing foundation. So you'll want to set up conversion rate optimization and tracking before investing in traffic. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, you don't want to jump straight into traffic. Sometimes what can happen, I think, is business says, okay, I think we're ready to advertise. They'll set up some quick ads. They're getting a lot of impressions, a lot of clicks. It's really exciting to see all this data flow into the account, and no sales as a result, or at least nothing that can be tracked. So really important to make sure that your site or your landing page is set up to convert that traffic, and the tracking has been set up. And in terms of an analogy, it's a lot like this image here. So in this example, in this analogy, you're holding a bucket filled with water. The water is the traffic. You're trying to get more traffic into your sales funnel, but it's leaking out. So there's holes in the bucket. People are leaving the site. They're leaving the landing page. It's just not set up to get people to fill out a form or make a purchase or call you. And so, traffic is coming in and it's leaving just as quickly. And you can't actually tell that because you're blindfolded. So tracking hasn't been set up. We don't know that our investment in traffic isn't actually producing anything for our business because we aren't tracking it. So conversion and tracking really are the foundation for your marketing. Conversion tactics, these are going to maximize your leads and sales generated from the traffic investment. And tracking is going to make sure that we can actually measure and see what's happening so that we can then improve it. Okay, and just some quick conversion rate fundamentals. There's a lot more that we could do to improve our conversion rate, but these are some big ones. So you want to make sure you have a strong call to action above the fold. So when I say above the fold, I mean this is when this is when the website loads and what I'm seeing without having to scroll down. So if we want to drive phone calls, then we might want to put that phone number into a sticky header. And I'm going to demo this landing page we have right here just to kind of give you a visual. Okay, so this would be the header up here. This business does bathroom remodels. And so, phone call for them would be a primary conversion metric. Here are the phone numbers in the header. So it's as soon as the page loads, people can see the phone number. And it's also in a sticky header, which means that there's some code that was added to make sure that that header stays with me as I scroll down the page. That's helpful because, if I'm scrolling down the page, I'm getting more information. And then if and when I'm ready to reach out to this business, I don't have to then go and find the phone number. It's right here the whole time. So it reduces the amount of friction for me as the user by making sure that the call to action, the action that I can take to actually get started is front and center at all times. There's also these buttons that we placed on this landing page that when clicked will redirect back to the form here. So again, if we want to get form submissions and our form is only on the contact page and people have to scroll down and there's 25 different form fields, then that's not really conducive to making sure that we're making it easily accessible to people and easy to fill out, because it's got to be easy or else people aren't gonna want to do it. Now it could be that you don't need 25, but you need at least 15 form fields. So that could be the case. In this case, they're able to get away with 5, which I think is pretty reasonable. But yeah, so that, having the phone number here, having the form above the fold on the right, usually on the right side, but left side works as well. Really powerful tool to improve conversion rate. Customer focused copy versus company focused. I can't tell you how many times I've visited a ad landing page to find walls of text, and they talk about when the business was founded and all of this kind of information that doesn't really help the person who's clicking on this ad make a decision. And same with the website. We don't want to necessarily put that information front and center. We want to make sure that what we're doing instead is talking about how we can address the pain point faced by this customer and how our business can help them transform from this undesirable state that they're in now to a more desirable after state, and that our business is the guide to help them do that. You want to present a unique selling proposition. So why should someone choose to do business with you versus anyone else in your industry? What makes you special? Create pages for each product or service. So, sometimes, I've seen like a kind of a one-page website and there's just a lot of information on a single page. And it really helps to have that information broken out by pages. There are also SEO benefits to this. So if you offer different services and there's a different page for each service, then those different pages can be served in search results and rank for different keywords. So definitely recommend having separate pages. Adding a lead magnet to capture contact information. So by lead magnet, I mean some kind of piece of information that we can provide people with in exchange for their information, like name and email. So that might look like some kind of a guide, maybe a discount, but something of value that we can exchange for their contact information. There's a few benefits to this. So the first obvious benefit is that despite all of the best practices that we can put, and employ on our website or landing page, we're only going to convert so many people. So having some kind of a secondary call to action to capture contact information allows us then to re-engage with people who've left the site because they simply weren't ready. The alternative is that if we don't try to capture their information, then we have to get them back to the website all over again, because once they leave, they're gone. But if we capture their email, then they can we can enter them into an email sequence. We can, if we have a newsletter, we can add them to that. Another benefit to that is having that first party data. So as we've had more conversations about cookie deprecation and how things are going to look very different, um, having a real, having some real first party data is going to be a differentiating factor if you're doing advertising, because you can take that email list and you can upload it to different ad platforms. You can target that list if it's big enough, or create lookalike audiences. So it would allow you more opportunities when it comes to advertising and improving algorithmic learning, because it knows what your customers look like. So definitely recommend some kind of a mechanism for capturing contact information and then following up with those people, which is the next bullet. Following up with people via autoresponders, newsletters, or promos. If you're offering some kind of holiday promo or something like that, then now you actually have a list, you have an email list, you can actually alert people about that, as opposed to simply just changing, the homepage of the site. Okay, and then tracking fundamentals. You want to set up Google Analytics 4 and conversion events. So that will take some setup, but it is really crucial. Phone call tracking. So this is something that we like to set up for Google Ads accounts, and actually allows us to listen to phone calls, so we can check up on lead quality. Setting up ad network conversion code. So whichever ad platforms you're using, making sure that conversion tracking has been set up, and setting up a customer relationship management tool to actually track customer value, cost per lead, other information like when did this person enter your list, what have they purchased in the past, all good information to use. So I'm going to demo this in the checklist real quick. So I just have a little quick checklist here for each of these items that I covered, both for the conversion checklist and the tracking checklist. So I would just go down here and kind of see, do I have customer focus copy? Do I have any kind of a lead magnet that allows me to capture emails and then follow up with those people? Have I set up ad network conversion tracking or GA4? So definitely go through that checklist. And then step 3, invest in traffic. Okay, so there's no single magic bullet. And I say that because when we surveyed our audience to ask what their top questions were about digital marketing, the #1 question we got back was what's the best one source of website traffic? And there isn't one. So rather than being focused on traffic though, I think it's important to remember that we want to diversify. It's important to invest in different, having traffic coming from multiple different sources, and then of course making sure that our website is set up to convert that traffic. And in terms of channels, these are going to be the primary channels. So of course we have search engine optimization, ads, search ads, social, if you're doing Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, that kind of thing, organic social media, email marketing. So if you're going to send out newsletters or promos. This is not an exhaustive list, so there are more things that we can do. For example, geo-targeting, so serving people display ads based on physical geographic locations that they've visited. But I think these, in terms of just starting out, these are where we would want to focus. Okay, and how do you allocate your budget? So first, we're going to find your monthly budget in our one-page growth plan. And then second, use a portfolio approach. So this is the distribution that we recommend across these different channels. So 35% of your budget towards SEO, 45% towards ads, 10% towards organic social media, and then the last 10% towards email marketing. And then third, you want to audit your performance, your website performance quarterly, and adjust allocations based on what's producing a return. All right, these are 3 examples of how to allocate that budget. So these correlate with the growth tiers that we went over: moderate growth, aggressive growth, hyper growth. And with the moderate growth goal, if we're investing, we want to grow our business by between 10 and 20% of revenue next year, then investing 4% of revenue. So our annual marketing budget would be for next year $40,000 divided by 12. We've got $3,333 per month we would need to spend to achieve that growth goal. And then these are the dollar values according to the distribution that I listed on the last slide. So about $1,200 a month we'd be spending on SEO, $1,500 a month on ads, and then $333 per month each on social media and email. Same distribution for the aggressive growth goal, although in this case we're doubling. So instead of 4%, it's 8%. Instead of 40,000, it's 80,000. So, but now we have some bigger budgets here, so we have more options. So for example, 45% of that budget being spent on ads, $3,000 a month. Well, that could easily be just Google Ads, or it could be maybe $2,000 a month on Google Ads and $1,000 a month on Facebook Ads, or all $3,000 on LinkedIn. So it really depends how you want to break that up according to what makes the most sense for your business. And then lastly, hyper growth. All right, and I wanted to throw in some quick case studies showing that there's not this is not like a single way to approach this. Every business is different, every budget is different. So how do we realistically apply these principles and start achieving this growth? So one example comes from the Gifted Tree, who is one of our clients. They started investing only in SEO, and they started with a lower budget. About 6 months later, they started investing in Google Ads. So they kind of started, just SEO, slowly figuring out, what performance looks like. Google Ads 6 months later, tested Facebook Ads afterward, but found that the return on ad spend wasn't as high as Google Ads. So we reallocated that budget from Facebook Ads into Google Ads. Then 3 years later, quadrupled their Google Ads budget because it was really performing for them, and then doubled the SEO budget based on the return they were getting. So in this case, they kind of started slow, tested, and ramped up. Next, we have Raymond Geddes. They started with SEO, Google Ads, Bing Ads, and Facebook Ads services. Then after a couple years, increased their Facebook Ads budget by 25%, then tripled their SEO budget, and then increased Google Ads and Facebook Ads budget even more. So in this case, they kind of started with the full pie chart and then slowly ramped up according to what was producing a return. And then lastly, we have Hartford Fence Company. So the plan was to improve their SEO and launch Google Ads. So we redesigned their site and put some Google Ads up. Performance was good with the first campaign, and then we realized there were certain keywords that were kind of taking the lion's share of conversions, doubled the budget on those, and produced better results. And so now the plan is to kind of continue to further scale up their SEO and ads. All right, so we want to finalize your growth plan. So now that you have a version of that document that you can edit, you want to document your budget allocations, add the date of your last traffic audit. That's going to be at the very bottom of the document down here. And this is where you can add your monthly budget according to that portfolio. Last website audit there, and then list out some next steps. If your last audit was more than 3 months ago, then you'll want to do an audit. But if you're within the 3-month mark, then you just want to document kind of key action steps. We just want to make sure that we're reviewing performance and actually making changes based on that. Okay, so quick recap. Overview of the planning process. So number one, we're going to create your vision, calculate your monthly marketing budget, set up your conversion fundamentals, set up your tracking fundamentals, allocate your budget across primary traffic channels, and then determine next steps for each traffic channel based on quarterly audits. All right, so how can we help? So if you've stuck around for this long, then we have a nice little offer. So you can book a free 30-minute growth plan strategy session with us, and we'll actually sit with you and kind of figure out what this one-page growth plan looks like. We'll get some feedback on, kind of what makes sense in terms of target, budget, and where that should be allocated. And so if that sounds interesting to you, if you'd like to hop on a quick, free 30-minute strategy session, then just put growth plan in the chat. And then what I'm going to do is after the webinar, I'll kind of see who's interested and I'll reach out to you directly. All right, I see one growth plan. Good. Cool. And now we're at the Q&A section. So are there any questions? Yes, and I see one question. Can I download a copy of the presentation from somewhere? Yeah, so what's going to happen is tomorrow morning, you'll get an email with a link to the recording and a link to the slides as well. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions. So let's give it, say another 20 seconds, 30 seconds. See if there's any questions that pop up. Thanks, Russ. Yeah, I know this is a lot of information, but I think it's all really good stuff. All right. All right, so I'm not seeing any more questions. So after we close, if you do think of a question that you weren't able to ask during the webinar, if you want, you can just reply to the email that I sent tomorrow morning, and I'll get that answered for you. All right, and with that, I think we can close. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be here for today's presentation, and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.